This video is for a tutorial for a couple of my open math problems from 3.3 electronic homework. I think it was number 3, similar to this. So there weren't many videos like it, or any. So what we want to do is, given g of x, that should be an equals. Given g of x equals negative 5x cubed plus 2, find the average rate of change from x equals negative 4 to x equals 3. So it doesn't really matter which I call my first input or my second. So down here that should be equal also. So you might be fine with these, and you can just do these for extra practice if you already got your homework done, or just skip over it. That's fine, it's optional. So the first thing I want to do is write down my formula. So I'm going to write AROC for average rate of change is going to be my, I could do my first or second, it doesn't really matter. Usually we write g of x sub 2, and then here's minus g of x sub 1. All divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And again, it doesn't really matter which one I call which. I'm going to call this one x sub 1 equals negative 4, and x sub 2 equals 3, just kind of going left to right. So what I need to do is figure out what these values are equal to, and then plug them in here to my formula. So the first part is g of x sub 2. I have to figure out what that is. So I'm going to just do that off to the side. So I'm going to take, instead of x sub 2, I'm going to put 3 in there. And I'm going to plug that into my function for x. So then I would have negative 5, and then I have my 3 goes in for x, and that's cubed plus 2. So I go ahead and calculate that out, and I am going to get negative 5. I'm just going to write across, well, right underneath here. There's plenty of room. So negative 5 times 27, so make sure you follow your proper order of operations, and that is going to equal negative 133. And I calculate that out. So now that negative 133 is g of x sub 2, so I'm going to put that up here. So write negative 133 minus, now I need to figure out this piece, g of x sub 1, which I'm calling the x sub 1 negative 4. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before, same process, except now I'm figuring out g of negative 4. And I'm going to plug in negative 4 and cube it, add 2. So follow your proper order of operations for that. You get negative 5 times negative 64 plus 2. Always make sure you do your exponents first. And then that calculates out to 320 plus 2, so I get 322. And then that number is going to go in for the g of x sub 1. So put that up here. So 322 gets subtracted off. I have my x sub 2 in the denominator is 3. So to write that, minus x sub 1, which was the negative 4. So go ahead and crunch the numbers on that. I'm going to get negative 455, all divided by 7, because I'm going to have a plus plus there. So once I crunch that out, I get negative 65 is my average rate of change. So that is the answer for this particular regeneration. So if, depending, you know, what problem you're on, like there, everybody gets a different one. So these aren't specific to what you particularly maybe started with, or you might end up with it by chance. So there's another one here, number 2, given g of x equals negative 1x cubed plus 4, find the average rate of change from x equals negative 3 to x equals 2. So I'm going to just do that one out too so you can see the process. The process would be just the same. You're going to do average rate of change. And this time, I'm just going to write the formula a little differently. I'm going to write it as g of x sub 1 minus g of x sub 2, just so you know that really doesn't make a difference as long as the difference in the x's are the same order. So in the denominator, I have to have x sub 1 minus x sub 2. And then I'm going to call the negative 3. This will be my x sub 1, and my 2 will be my x sub 2. So I have to do a little side work here. I'm going to figure out what this f, or g, actually, g of negative 3 is, and I'm going to put that in for my x over here. And then I'll do the same to figure out what g of x sub 2 is. So just figure out the pieces separately and then plug them in, because there's not a lot of room. If you try to do it all out at once, it's a little harder to track. So we're going to write out f of x, or g, I keep writing f, but it's g for this one. G of x sub 1 would be g of 3. And the other one, g of x sub 2, is g of 2. So I'm just going to jot those down. So go ahead and try to plug those in. Okay, so we're just going to pop the 3 in for x up in our function here. So we have negative 1 times 3 cubed plus 4. So again, just really stressing that follow your order of operations. So this would be negative 1 times 27. Oh, it's negative 3 actually. So let's make that be a negative 27 plus 4. And then just continuing on, that will be negative times a negative gives me positive 27 plus 4 is going to be 31. And now that's going to go up here in the numerator. Then figure out g of 2 is going to be negative 1 times 2 cubed plus 4. That will equate to negative 1 times 8 plus 4, which is negative 8 plus 4, which is negative 4. Put that up here, so I'm subtracting negative 4, all divided by negative 3 minus 2. So you really do have to make sure the corresponding x's go in the same order as you did the y's. So then it will become plus plus. So I get 35 divided by negative 5. So my average rate of change is going to be negative 7 for that problem. So I hope that helps. Let me know if you need any videos on demand here for math. And help with your homework. I'll try to see if I can attach them into the homework. Otherwise, just look in Canvas for things. But if I find that certain problems are tricky and I get a lot of questions, I might just try to get it right attached with it. But look for new additions in Canvas or an email or an announcements for things periodically. So have a great day. Thanks.